So in archaeology, we have a long tradition of excavating animal remains from sites, and the standard interpretations of those are based on factors like the diet of the people who lived there and some of the activities of their daily lives. Because when we're excavating animal remains, this is really all we have to work with. We have these bones, and so that makes the tangible factors the easier things to study. However, animal remains are caught up in all sorts of dynamics of social relationships. And we see this in ongoing cultural traditions like the Squamish Nation practice of the first salmon ceremony, where salmon are ceremonially, the first salmon of the season are ceremonially welcomed each year. The community has a feast and remains are returned to the water after the feast in order to ensure the return of salmon in later years. And as zoo archaeologists, it's very difficult to access these dynamics of these social relationships. So my research is going to be focusing on how we can use zoo archaeology to study social significance in the archaeological record. I'm going to be bringing together 3 lines of evidence, including ethnographic records, oral traditions, and an assemblage of animal remains from a site called Squamish in Squamish Nation territory in British Columbia. And I'm going to be using these to focus on how these bones can bridge the gap to study these sorts of relationships. And the northwest coast of British Columbia is really an ideal place to do this because we have these lines of evidence. We have ethnographic traditions, we have records, we have oral traditions, and we have the archaeological record with an incredible preservation of bones that allow us to see dynamics, or at least allow us to see some degree how these bones were used in the distant past. And I'm hoping that while it may not be possible to resolve social significance archaeologically, because this gap is a very difficult thing to bridge, I'm hoping that it will have larger implications for the discussion of how zoo archaeologists interpret the importance of animal remains and how First Nations peoples interpret the importance of animal remains. And my preliminary research shows that there are dynamics of resource management, identity, tradition, all bound up in these. And ultimately, this may have larger implications for how we talk about the First Nations' access to animals and how we control how resource access is controlled. And I think if these things are more than food, as records seem to show they are, I think it's important that archaeology acknowledge the full role in this discussion. Thank you.